When you look at the dragons, what do you see? It's important. What do you see?
I suppose I see us.
Tell me.
Everyone says Targaryens are closer to gods than to men. But they say that because of our dragons. Without them, we're just like everyone else.
The idea that we control the dragons is an illusion. They are a power man should never have trifled with. One that brought Valyria its doom. If we don't mind our own histories, it will do the same to us. Targaryen must understand this to be king. Or queen.
Welcome back to another episode of the Wrap Up, the show where we talk about all things Game of Thrones. I guess this is now our dedicated little segment show for all things Thrones, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, House of the Dragon, and obviously we're back after 2 years between seasons. We're back discussing House of the Dragon, Team Black, Team Green, everything in between. Evan, how do you feel?
I'm psyched. I'm excited, even though the episode that we watched was very much chaotic, messy, tragic as fuck, dreadful episode. But very good. I thought it was a good. I don't want to say, is it a return to form? Because House of the Dragon has always been good. I haven't been one of those people, who've been like, oh, this show is Ryan Kondo is garbage. If you're one of those people, this is probably not the podcast for you. Because I really like House of the Dragon. We had our faults with season 2, especially the back half of season 2. But overall, this has always been a very entertaining and very captivating show for me. And I'm super psyched. I'm super psyched. I know I said last time in the podcast 2 years ago that I was going to read the book. I was like, I got time now. The show's not coming back till 2026. I got 2 years. What could possibly go wrong? I went wrong. I fucked up. I didn't read the book. But I'm excited. We can keep the dynamic going between Edgar, who read the book, knows a lot about the book and the changes that went on, and I'm going in surprised every single week.
Yeah. Well, honestly, like this show, just this season in particular, this episode really just throws you into the deep end. It doesn't really have any time to catch you up. It is very much episode 9 of season 2, and you can feel it right from the start. Like season 2 ends on this like cliffhanger of this like great montage. You see Rhaena maybe potentially claiming this wild dragon, and we start right there with her. I will say, like in terms of like episode 1, it did feel like episode 9, but at the same time, I felt like Ryan might have changed some things around with the script, because very much
it felt like when characters were like, when we got to see all the characters we've got in episode 1 here, they kept repeating their names. Like for example, if you forgot who Ulf and Alan and the breakhammer guy, the hammer, if you forgot who Hugh, like they say their names, like Ulf is like, I'm Ulf the Dragon Seed. This is why I'm like, they kind of reiterated what was going on inside of the episode in each individual storyline. So for me, I wasn't too confused. I was watching this with my dad, and he was kind of having questions about like, who is this, who's this? But most of the questions he had were stuff that was like newly introduced. Like, who are these people coming out of the woods? I'm like, I have no idea. Oh, okay, the Starks. Like, who are these people? Oh, the Triarchy. We saw them last season. You might forget. They're just pirates. You don't even know that much about them. They're just pirates.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah, and then also new. Like we saw more of the Greens. He was like, "Who are those?" I'm like, "I'm not sure." Oh, okay. These are the people who are coming King's Landing, Darren, all those kind of people, and people that we haven't seen before. So a lot of the new characters people might be confused about because they're new. But I felt like in terms of things that were kind of like teed up from season 2 wasn't too confusing for me. It felt like this was a palatable episode on top of the last 25 minutes just being a simple, wow, chaotic, but a simple battle. So, okay, here's our characters, here's what's going on. But there was a lot of miscommunications, some misunderstandings happening at the beginning of the episode in verse. So that was really fun to track, to see where everybody's headspace was and how those headspaces were not in line with reality, what was really going on, especially with Rhaenyra and her hopes for King's Landing. But where should we start? I'm excited. Last night I watched the episode and I'm like sweating. My dad's like, Evan, why are you sweating? I'm like, I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sweating because people are dying.
Because it's Game of Thrones.
It's Game of Thrones. And, I was me, Jalen's girlfriend, my dad. We were all just watching this, having a blast. Like whenever they cut to the dragons in the Battle of the Golden, I'm like, cut away. I don't want to see this. I'm nervous as shit. Let's go back to Alan and Corlys beating the fuck out of the pirates. I was like, okay, now I'm good here because I know none of them are going to die really. But for Jace and Rhaena and Baela, right? I was like, one of them's going to die. I thought Rhaena was a goner, but man, rest in peace, Jace. Harry, what was his name? Jace or Harry something?
Is it Colette? Harry Colette?
Harry Colette. Either way, Harry, not Harry Potter. Great actor, great performance. I'm going to miss him so much. Great. We got to do a eulogy for my GOAT. He was having a great season. If people forget, go watch our podcast from last season 2. But we talked a lot about Jace's arc last season. And I really, although it was up and down and he didn't get to do much, quote unquote, there were some strong moments that they put in specifically between Jace and his mom. They had some really, really strong scenes. They touched on it a little bit in like the 6-minute recap before the season starts. But like Jace and Rhaenyra had a really fun dynamic where they Rhaenyra was like pushing him away and Jace wanted to get more into it. Jace had some good politic moments last season, really coming into his own. And then him having a heart-to-heart with his mom about like the lineage and should we really be doing the whole, giving her dragon seed, the whole dragon seed plot line. He had some issues with, but then he had a good heart-to-heart with his mom. He was brought into her inner circle. I thought it was some great progression for Jace, really becoming a leader in his own right next to his mom. And now it's all shattered. I'm just heartbroken. I'm like, oh my God. Like, people always complain about Rhaenyra like crying a lot, but like she's probably gonna be crying for the next at least the first half. Yeah, the next half of this episode. So, and I have some crazy questions about like what's coming next. But anyways, it was just a phenomenal episode. Where should we break things down? Where should we start? Should we start off with Rhaenyra and her dragon?
Well, the way that we did it last year is where we divided it between like the team greens and team blacks, but like
we did.
Characters really are kind of scattered. Daemon is in the Riverlands. Rhaena starts out in the Vale still with a Sheepstealer. And even the greens are like more scattered now. Like Christian Cole is doing his own thing. Aegon is now starting to do his own thing. So honestly, with whatever you want to start, we can start.
Let's start off with Rhaena. Okay, so people watched our podcast last season. This was easily, more so for Edgar because he read the books. But as someone who didn't read the books, I was like, this storyline is ass cheeks. It's bad. It's a bad storyline. I don't care what's happening. It had no resolution. I remember in the finale, we were like, no way. They're really ending it right there. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what was the point? What was the point? Like, there would be episodes where she was just in the field running around. And I'm just like, okay, what is happening? And I remember we were watching the credits and I was like complaining about that. And then the first scene is like Rhaenyra and a dragon. It was very fun. I'm like, okay, cool. They're just kind of like wrapping it up with us right now. But this is exciting. Finally we get some kind of resolution. I shouldn't say it's exciting. It still isn't the most captivating storyline. I want them to do more with her character. I don't know what they can do. I guess they might lead into the guilt arc for anything. Because she's gonna have a lot of people hating her outside the show and maybe inside the show too. I don't know. Probably not. Nobody's gonna blame her really. But maybe Baela. Like, what the fuck were you doing? Have some sister.
The thing, we'll get into it later on. But like, there's only one person who knows that was Rhaena, and he's dead now.
Right? Doesn't Baela know that? Like, does Baela not know who was riding that dragon?
No, the only person that identified her in the dragon was Jace. That's
Really?
why he was about to attack, and then he kind of like, oh shit, it's Rhaena. So he kind of like,
Okay, I thought Baela knew too.
No.
That's crazy. Rhaena didn't come back like, what? She can keep it a secret? Like, what happened to Jace? Couldn't be me. I don't know what y'all is talking about. Like, anyway, we'll talk about it. But like, seeing Rhaena getting her dragon, those scenes, you know, they were solid. Solid stuff there. Again, I love a good introduction between a new dragon rider and a raw, untamed dragon. Was very interesting. You know, seeing it run away with her. You know, that was kind of wild too. Like she rides on the scales, no kind of like saddle or nothing. That's very uncomfortable. And then just
Daenerys
solid,
vibes.
big Daenerys vibes. Yeah. Like when it like bent that way, like straight down, I was like, oh shit, she's gonna fly off. But anyways, solid scenes with her, just getting to know Sheepstealer. And do we know a name for it besides Sheepstealer? Or
No, there's other wild dragons in the books along Sheepstealer, but I highly doubt they'll even bring that.
if the dragon, because the dragons can't necessarily communicate, but I wanted the dragons like, hey, my name is like Drogon. Call me this. Call me that instead.
Yeah. It was very silly that Rhaena just named it right away like Sheepstealer. I'm like,
and it turned around. I'm like, if I'm the dragon, I'm like,
I'm like, who? Like, excuse you? Excuse you?
I don't know for hundreds of years. What are you talking about?
Again, like, this has been a theme with the show since season 1, but really started with season 2, and I think it will continue until it ends. I think there's certain plot points and character beats that on their own, within the context of the show, it's solid, it's fine. But when you compare it to what happens on the page, a lot of it just, it's not that it doesn't make sense, but it's lacking something. It's lacking either momentum or just any type of like emotional like resonance. I don't know. And we talked about this last season with Rhaena, and like I just don't care. I guess I'll spoil a little bit of what happens to Rhaena in the books, because again, I highly doubt it's going to happen in the show. And this is a theme for a lot of like, I think this episode in particular was like, okay, I think like none of this, like Ryan and crew will most likely not even be bothered like to tackle some of these things. One of the beautiful things about the Rhaena character, which she isn't in the story much, she's very much like sideline, and that's kind of like her whole, not personality, but like the way that everybody treats her in the books and even in the show in season 1. Where like, you know, everybody's at war and she's just like, you know, doing her own thing with like the little siblings or whatever. But like the bittersweet thing about Rhaena in the books is that the war ends, she's one of the few survivors of this thing. All the dragons die. Spoilers, people, this is what the show is about. All the dragons are dead, and then, you know, the kingdom is kind of like settling back into this kind of like semi-normal state. And then what happens? Her egg that was placed on her crib when she was a baby finally cracks, and a dragon is born. And that dragon is the only dragon that was the only dragon that was alive before Daenerys's dragons. And it doesn't live like a long life. It kind of dies generally, like, you know, quickly. It doesn't get to live a long life. But like it's the bittersweetness of this character who really wanted a dragon, wanted to be a dragon rider, wanted to be part of like the family culture of like, oh, you know, we have dragons. And when she finally gets her wish, she doesn't have anybody to share that with, and the dragon itself just eventually dies. Again, like all of that.
Have you seen an egg in this show?
We've seen it. Like, you remember those scenes in Pentos when Daemon is like in exile in Essos season 1 with Lena and the kids. She has like her egg still, like, you know, putting it like on the fire, trying to like see if it cracks. But you know,
got it. Okay. I kind of remember that.
Yeah. So that's one of the things about Rhaena that I think makes her, again, like a bittersweet character in the books, pretty much gone in this show. Because again, we've been giving her the Nettles arc, and
it's kind of weird because it's kind of giving her more to do necessarily, but it's not like
it doesn't feel earned. Yeah. And for starters, I think the whole taming Sheepstealer happens like way too quick and like way too easy for a dragon that in the books, you know, all the dragon seeds are like trying to claim dragons back in season 2. That also happens in the books. But Sheepstealer, kills more people than any of the other dragons combined because of
Oh,
how
shit.
wild he is. Like nobody can tame this thing except for this little girl who every morning goes up to him and feeds him cheeps and kind of like earns his trust, and that's how Nettles gets to bond with him.
That's cool. That's cool.
It's very easy, like here on the show. It's like it very much came across to me as like, we just need this to happen already. Just get on the dragon.
I agree. Yeah, it felt like they just wanted to keep the momentum going because like we're leading towards major events, and you can't have the storyline dragging continuously. So it's like we need to get this happening. Let's get her a dragon. Let's keep it going. Even though, yeah, it's like it doesn't feel fully earned. It's decent, but like nothing really impactful or emotional happened. It's not like, you know, when we saw, I keep forgetting the name, Hugh the Hammer, right?
Hugh.
Like he puts himself in front of a person about to get bit down by the dragon. It's like a big grand moment. We're like, oh shit. And like, and all of it's pretty simple, but it's still like during this whole big chaotic sequence. So
it has momentum.
The whole sequence feels very like engaging. You're like, what is going to happen next? And it feels like a horror movie when
Ulf Dragon,
Ulf Dragon coming up behind him. He's like, oh shit, but it doesn't kill him. You're like, oh, okay, cool. This is kind of cool. And at least a big power play.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, at least a big power play with Rhaenyra. So like the whole scene and like what it entails has impact. But for Rhaena, not only is it quick, unearned, and very fast paced, what it leads to is very divisive and is very like, do you want us to like Rhaena? Do you want us to be captured by Rhaena? Because like we get it. Young, they're kids, they're messy. That's just kids being kids. But at the same time, it isn't like super engaging. It's not like, oh man, I feel so bad for Rhaena. It's just like we can't really connect with Rhaena yet. So it's like the show hasn't given us time to connect with Rhaena. Because they could have done that last season instead of having her on the field. They could have had some other arc with her, like outside of her just looking across fields for a dragon. Have some more like an inner character arc, something. Maybe she should have saw Daemon like Daemon did. Like, I don't know. Like, she could have done something before leading up to this moment.
Yeah, it's funny because like I 100% see what they're doing with Rhaena. One of the things with Nettles that kind of like provokes this sense of friction between her and Rhaenyra is that Rhaenyra eventually becomes very paranoid again because of all the people that she keeps losing, not only within her family but just like in her team. And,
rightfully so.
And Nettles becomes, there's this rumor in the books that Nettles is either the bastard child of Daemon or that she's having an affair with Daemon. Again, because it's like an unreliable source, like then the book never tells you which one it is. But Daemon and Nettles become very close. They bond really quickly, and they do have like a father and daughter type of relationship. So I understand what they would give that to Rhaena, and I'm pretty sure that might be the case later on in the season. Where I'm just making an assumption here of of Rhaena in season 1 very much being neglected by Daemon, because Daemon at least did kind of like show interest in Baela and showing her the histories, but not really with Rhaena. And now that she's a dragon rider, a new one, I can maybe see like Daemon be like, okay, come in under my wing. I actually have something to like bond with you over. And like Rhaena being partially responsible why Jace is dead can be a replacement of why Rhaenyra has friction with Nettles. In the books, it's more of a, why are you so close with my husband? In the show, it can be more so like, well, you kind of like killed my son, and now you want to be like, you know, all normal with like the family now that you're a dragon rider.
And she can be kind of like atoning per se by strengthening up with Daemon. She can kind of be like make up for it in a way, in her own way, maybe. I can see that. I can see that being an intriguing storyline a little bit if they go down this route.
Yeah, and last thing that I'll say, which it's related to what happens later on in the battle. Very weird to me that season 2 establishes this idea that is from the books of Rhaena takes baby Viserys and baby Aegon to the Vale. They stay in the Eyrie for a while,
keep them safe.
Then to keep them safe. And then the people from the Vale, Lady Aaron and Rhaena, they kind of like make this decision of like, we're gonna take Viserys and Aegon across the Narrow Sea to Essos, so to keep them extra safe. So we see one of the last thing that we see about them in the show in season 2 is then kind of like riding off into the sunset and like about to get into the ship, which is called like the Gay Abandon. And then we see like Rhaena kind of like, you know what? Let me just go.
I'm gonna
seek
go
out
look for the dragon.
Yeah, good luck, kids.
Crazy. I remember we talked about
Well,
that.
Yeah, but like I remember seeing that in the show and like being frustrated about the whole lack of nettles, but also acknowledging the fact that that's another point of conflict in the show of like Rhaenyra assigned you to protect these kids. You abandon them. Those kids, while they're like trying to travel to Essos, they get caught in the middle of the Battle of the Gullet.
Oh,
I thought that that's what was like season 2 was like building up to, of like not only is like Rhaena maybe slightly responsible for Jace's death, but she's responsible for almost the death of baby Aegon and the disappearance of Viserys. None of that is in the show. Again, even more motivation for Rhaenyra to be resentful against Rhaena for becoming a dragon rider, which is just lacking in the show. How are they gonna bring up the whole baby Targaryen children plot into the show? I have no idea, because again, it's very important for the epilogue of the story, which is like
the future of the show. Yeah.
So no idea. And again, I'm letting the show play out, but it's just very frustrating, especially because again, it was established, it was introduced in season 2, and they just completely abandoned it.
Yeah. So I guess they're just gonna have them be relegated, just like, oh, they're just surviving on Essos for now, and then we'll see them by the end of the series, probably.
Yeah. So like, I'll put a pin on it for now, because we'll come back to it later when we get into the Battle of the Gullet. But
okay.
But yeah,
interesting.
Very frustrating with Rhaena, because there is potential to make this work. I just don't think they're finding their way to do it yet.
So in the book, does Rhaena know that like the ship the ship with the children is in the Battle of the Gauntlet? Oh, Rhaena isn't even in there, right? In the book,
I think
right?
she's still in the Vale. She just like ships them off to Essos, if I remember.
So they're stuck in the Battle of the Gauntlet, and nobody knows what's going on. Like nobody knows what the ship is.
Again, we'll get back into it, but really quickly, instead of Corlys sending like a raven to Dragonstone of like, oh, come help us, the ship, the Gay Abandon, where the children, Viserys and Aegon are, it gets caught in between the fight, and baby Aegon, his dragon is like old enough where it can carry him. It's kind of like the size of maybe like a pony or like a horse, like a small horse.
Wow.
And so the dragon, like he gets on his dragon, he's unable to.
Isn't he like 3 or 4? How old is he?
He's older, slightly older in the book.
Oh, okay.
Maybe like 2-3 years older. So baby Aegon, he gets on the dragon, he's unable to get Viserys. He flies off back to Dragonstone. All of these ships start like firing arrows to the dragon. The dragon is dying as he's flying to Dragonstone. He barely gets to Dragonstone, and Aegon's arrival to Dragonstone is what alarms Rhaenyra and everybody else to go to the Battle of the Gullet.
And then that's when Jace comes in.
And Jace basically gets the blessing of Rhaenyra to go into battle, and he's not only does he go, but he's basically in charge of taking the dragon seats with him. The dragon seats are involved in the Battle of the Gullet in the book.
Okay.
So there's like 6 dragons in this battle in the book.
Oh damn. That'd been a lot of CGI.
That's another thing that I understand. I was like, that would have been very expensive.
That'd have been very expensive. That'd have been a lot. Shit. Okay, yeah, we'll get to that at the end then. Interesting. So yeah, that's kind of like the Rhaena Sheepstealer storyline. She eventually again, it's very quick, but she eventually tames it to a degree. But I like how it's not like fully tamed, because it does continue to burn people during Battle of Corlys, so it's like completely not following her directions. It kind of reminds me of what?
No, go finish.
It kind of reminded me of Loose season 1, where it was like, "Hey, stop chasing after Aemond. Like, please go over here."
Oh yeah.
And then they're just like, or Luke, sorry, yeah, it was like the dragon just didn't fully listen to Luke at the time.
Yeah.
And then
Luke and Aemond with
Aemond couldn't even control his dragon.
Vagar. Yeah.
So
yeah, what was I gonna say? Fuck. Never mind. I don't know what I was gonna say.
Yeah. All good. But yeah, so that's kind of Rhaena's storyline. Very fast, but she eventually goes off. But let's move over to what's the next thing that we see here? Is it Aemond?
We said Aemond or Aemond?
Or it might be Aemond.
Yeah. There's not a lot of Damon in this episode, so we could just get it out.
We can do Damon real quick. Damon's, I think Damon comes later, but either way, I love seeing my guy back. A lot of carnage, brutal war. Love this.
Doing war crimes.
Doing war crimes. Gotta love him. Good old war crimes. He's pardoned. Who are they fighting? They're fighting Lannisters at the Riverlands, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And the guy who got thrown over the boat. By the way, is he alive? The guy got thrown over the boat, or did he die?
That's another thing that I'm like, what are you doing, show? Of like, he's a very important character in the epilogue of the story, and at this point, like, I don't know if he's dead or not.
I feel like they would have showed him dying. My dad said, like, I thought he just died by getting hit by a rock. But I felt like he survived. Wouldn't they have shown his death? Maybe not.
Yeah. They do show like just a random Lannister like hit like a rock, but I don't think it's him.
I don't think it was him.
My hope is that he's alive, because again, another huge change for the books that again does play a role to the characters, the way that they get to a resolution. But another character, what's her face? Lorak. Why am I blanking on her name? The pirate. She's the one who captures Viserys, and they're still alive in Essos. So, and she's dead in the show. So,
okay, wow. Yeah, she's kind of like a nothing character here. When she was introduced here, I was like, okay, she has to die. Like she felt like one of those greedy pirates. But again, we'll get to that. But I like seeing Daemon here killing off these Lannisters. But what I was going to say is that like the guy that was thrown overboard, was he supposed to be here in the Riverlands, or he wasn't even supposed to be there in the Riverlands?
Yeah, I think last season, like in the montage, we see like the Lannisters marching. So they're like marching from the west, they have to pass through the Riverlands. So obviously they were gonna meet Daemon's forces one way or another. So that's the clash, the aftermath. I do like that the small little detail of Caraxes just in the back, just burning shit. Like...
That was hilarious. Yeah, it felt like a comedy skit where he was like, okay, we're gonna burn the bodies and move on. Meanwhile, like burning, like you see Caraxes in the background, literally burning as Daemon is saying that. And while the other army is like, we don't want you to do that. Like that's not our custom. He's like a bit too late.
It is a smart thing, because don't they mention the fact that one of the reasons why they're doing it is because to avoid like disease.
Yep, like he straight up says that. Yeah, like we don't want to start another a plague or spread a disease. Like that, so we're just gonna burn these bodies, because in Riverland they bury their dead, right?
Yeah,
as part of their old customs. But that was a very interesting, very short battle, but great introduction for Daemon, who is again who had a lot of issues last season.
I love it. The Daemon stuff in season 2, great.
It's great. It's great. My dad was here yesterday, and he was like, I didn't really like the Daemon stuff, but like I was fully. That was easily the best part of every episode. Was the Daemon stuff. Remember we talked for like 30 minutes about Daemon stuff alone. But so yeah, Daemon had become a good leader now, but he's still under Rhaenyra. I like that. And by the way, just for a short recap, his main impetus for getting back to Rhaenyra, outside of the emotional aspect, I think part of him still would have gone to it. I don't think he would have overthrown her. But the second impetus was the vision that he had about the White Walkers, right? Was that a big impetus as well? So that was very interesting. But yeah, we see him meet up with the people coming out of the woods. Like, who are they? What's going on here? Boom! The wolves, the Starks are here. And for a second there, when the general was coming out from beneath the Starks, I thought it was like the guy that Jake or Jace had a conversation with. But this isn't the guy. This isn't the younger Stark, right?
No.
This is somebody else.
Yeah. So what happens is, while Cregan Stark, I think it's his name. The Lord of Winterfell is like still getting his forces together. He sends out what they call the Greybeards, and basically the Greybeards they're sent out to the south to die, because they all know that their goal is to die in this war, because they don't want to come back and take food and supplies from the young. So they're on a suicide mission, and it's actually really fucking cool.
What do you mean, food from the young?
For like winter is coming,
Oh, okay. So we got to cut our resources basically, or we got to cut the population basically.
Yeah.
In a way. Interesting. So those are the Greybeards that we saw basically going off.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I like that. But are we gonna see
But
him
again,
again though? The head of the Starks, you said Kreger?
I'm assuming again, like the whole Hour of the Wolf is basically just him.
Okay. And now the Wolf is to take place after the story.
As the story is wrapping up, yeah.
Okay, interesting. I can't wait to see him. He had that one scene with Jace in season 2 that was really cool.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see.
I wish there was more of that. I just in general, I wish there was more with the younger cast, with Jace, Bela. That was one of my main complaints with season 2. I like, again, individually, I like a lot of the green stuff, a lot of the Alicent stuff that we saw, but again, it felt very repetitive after a while. A lot of time dedicated to that, whereas we could have just used that time to flesh out, like, again, Jace, Bela, and all of it.
Jace and Bela's relationship, it was very fun to see in the short glimpses that we got. I would have loved to see more of that. So that's what Daemon is. He got the Starks together, and where are they heading towards? What's their next destination?
What was that?
What's Daemon's and the Starks' next destination? Are they going back to Rhaenyra's camp right now, or is the Riverlands settled, or there's still more to go for the Riverlands conflict? Because
I think
isn't Kristen Cole also in the Riverlands too? Aren't they going to eventually clash?
They're coming from King's Landing. They are eventually supposedly gonna clash. It's been a minute since I've read Fire and Blood. So some of my memory has been like a bit spotty, but we're gonna have to see Daemon eventually come back to Rhaenyra. I'm assuming probably the death of Jace is gonna be the reason why.
Probably the next episode. Yeah, I feel so. Oh my gosh, and it's gonna be interesting because Daemon, whenever he sees like a death in the family, he gets even more aggressive and like he puts his anger and emotions out on the battlefield. While Rhaenyra is more so gonna be like motherly, crying and sobbing, and eventually going to act on her aggression that we've been waiting 3 seasons to see. But I feel like given like what's coming up next, it feels like she's going to be acting very, very quickly. I can't wait to see that. But that's what's going on with Daemon. But catching up with Rhaenyra here, this is very interesting where Rhaenyra is more so on an optimistic lens. Actually, should be. As we ended with season 2, she realized she came down with Daemon and she's like, okay, cool. The Riverlands are backing us, or at least the majority of the Riverlands are backing us. And Daemon, he raised his army in the Riverlands. Cool. I also got 3 extra dragons on top of Jace and Bela's own dragons as well. So they have tons of dragon power. They have tons of people in the army in the Riverlands. They should be good to go. On top of last season, Alicent telling Rhaenyra, hey, I will open up the gates for you. You can come in. Aemond will be gone because Aemond is supposed to be going to the Riverlands, correct? As well. He's supposed to meet up with Kristen Cole's group.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, again, that's when Rhaenyra was like, son for a son, I need to kill Aegon. And Alicent was kind of, at that moment, willing to go along with that idea. Until, and I love this part of the episode, until she gets back to the camp and she sees Aemond on the throne. And that's when we cut to like Aemond's storyline where he is shocked to see that Aegon isn't there. He almost kills the Maester, right?
Maester.
Almost kills him because he has no idea where Aegon went. But he used this to his advantage. He is now sitting on the Iron Throne right when Alicent walks in. How'd you like all this storyline going about?
It's funny that we're constantly always saying that we're Team Black, but consistently the best writing is with Team Green.
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah, I always love catching up with these freaks.
Big freaks. I love it. I was cheering.
Big, as we'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, it's just the culmination of what was happening last season with Aemond getting more involved in the council once he tries to kill his brother Aegon. He becomes a king regent, and this is just like a perfect opportunity for him to like do what he wants, which is he has been wanting to be king since season 1. That's like he feels like he's like more worthy of the title, because Aegon is not interested in any of the histories. He's not interested in really being a warrior. He's just more interested in just like, sleeping around and having all of these bastards and abusing women.
Yep.
Which, I mean, Aemond isn't that better, but at least like in his mind, he feels like he's earned the title more than his brother.
For sure.
So again, it's cool. We'll see how that plays off with him going into the Riverlands. We've seen in the teasers and from the book that he's gonna eventually go to Harrenhal. But yeah, I mean, the most interesting thing is like just like trying to put yourself in Alicent's like psyche.
Exactly.
Of making this deal and then coming back, and I'm like, oh shit, well, never mind, I guess. Trying her best to like make the deal still work while being sneaky about it, but being very bad at being sneaky.
It felt so interesting, for a character that has, as you talked about in season 3 or in this episode, she hasn't had much agency. When Aemond asks her, "Where have you been?" she lies and says, "I was at the woods or whatever." Like, I've been gone. He kind of like, okay, whatever. Because she was taken off the council. Aemond did listen to her. She's had a lack of agency. She finally makes this big plan of her own volition, and she comes back and it's a mess. So I do like putting ourselves in her headspace, saying, okay, now what's put in front of me, I got to work with what Aemond is. And Aemond is a very dangerous individual. Aegon was much more easier to manipulate. She did a pretty good job with Aegon in terms of manipulation of Aegon last season, even though he went off on his own to get burned to a crisp. That wasn't really on her, I don't think. It kind of was actually, because she was like, "You're not really a good king, and people don't really listen to you, Aegon." And then he felt like, "I got to prove myself," and that's when he went out there. Not good for her part there. But either way, Aegon is still much more easier to talk to than Aemond. But she is finding some kind of in with Aemond, given that she knows that there is a fear element involved. And I like that throughout this episode, there has been a notion of like we knew the battle was coming, but there was a consistent thread of dread and fear throughout most of the camp, minus Rhaenyra, who was kind of like giddy for the plan to go over there. But like Alicent's dealing with fear about like what's coming and her plan's not going to a T. Aemond has fear now about leaving because of his conversation with Helena last season, right? Where he's scared now because he had a short conversation with her about dying, possibly. Is that correct? I didn't watch. So. I didn't watch it too, but I remember there's like this scene when they're on like at nighttime, where they have a conversation, and Helen kind of brings it up again, saying that like Aemond is frightened, you are frightened. Like there's a lot of fear going on in the Green camp, even though they are steadily coming around. But I did like following Alicent's headspace here. Like, how do you act around Aemond? And for Aemond, how do you act now that you're kind of king, but your mom's kind of hiding something? What's going on here? They have such a very interesting dynamic leading up to that crazy first kiss for Aemond. I just love following them so much. It's so engaging and Olivia Cook and I always forget the Aemond actor's name.
Ewan something, I forget.
Ewan, yeah, but they're just so good. They're so good. They're so interesting to see here as well. But I did like this. Aemond has kind of already been king in charge, even when Aegon was sick. But now Aegon's completely gone, and he has now is like is it King Regent? Is that his title?
I mean, everybody keeps assuming that Aegon is dead. So at this point, he's basically the king. I mean, even Ormond, when he's like, during his like sort of introduction scene, when everybody's like, "Oh, so is Aegon dead?" And he's like, "One king, another king is as good as any," or whatever. Whatever the line is.
The coin. No, I'm kidding. But but yeah, one king is as good as what they got right now. So again, I like following Aemond. Very fun introduction to him. And this has been, I think Aemond's character has been so consistent throughout this entire series. He's written very, very, very well and performed extraordinarily well. Where it was funny because I paused it and I'm like, right before Alicent walked in to Aemond's room, I'm like, Aemond's been dealing with like this mother, what's it called, Epidus complex kind of thing.
It's been there since season 1. I don't know why people are surprised that this is what's happening.
No, exactly. I remember my dad was like, "What's going on here?" I was like, "Dad, did you forget the whole brothel scene where he was like really captivated by the one lady who was like
basically pretending to be his mom.
Exactly, but to be a mother figure, he was like calling her mommy, all kind of weird shit going on there. Aegon was making fun of him. That kind of caused the friction a little bit in season 1. So he's had this complex issues, and then in season 2, they've had some great scenes of their own when Aemond's rising to power, and again, Alicent was kind of navigating that fear, and that's why she kind of left. I think even though Alicent's arc was kind of dragging last season, one of the more, again, consistent elements was that, like, her parentage of these green kids, Aegon, who is now crippled, Aemond, who is becoming a tyrant, Helena, she was losing faith in herself as a parent and as, like, an active individual with agency. That's why she went off to the whole lake scene, which, again, slow, whatever, repetitive, whatever, but like that was kind of like the whole moral of her story in a way. And then now she's back, and now she is finally able to try and take charge, and at the same time continue, as you said, to make her plan still happen. Because she made a promise to Rhaenyra in like 3 days' time, she's coming, and if she comes, her main issue right now in this episode is if Rhaenyra comes and she has a whole armada of Greens who are now on their way. Again, their brothers from Old Town on their way here. On top of Aemond still being here with Vhagar, like, that's bad. That would be bad if that happened. So she's trying to divert that. So we see her set up this letter to Old Town, right? To what are the names?
Ormond Hightower. I believe, if I remember correctly, Ormond is not. He's not directly related to Alicent and Wayne. He is, I believe, their cousin. He's the son of the Lord of Hightower.
Okay.
So he would be Otto's nephew, I believe.
Okay. So I want to talk about this before we go back to the Alicent and Aemond kiss, because I was kind of confused by this. I thought the guy who was like, he got on sniffing shit. So that's Ormond, right?
Ormond Hightower, yeah.
I thought he was the brother with the dragon. Is he in this episode, the brother with the dragon?
The Darren,
yes.
Everybody just keeps saying that the brother with the dragon, Darren, he's the kid, his squire, the one in the back with the red hair. He doesn't. He might not have silver hair in the show.
Interesting. So that was the one with the blue dragon.
Yeah. So maybe they're making him look more like Alicent's side of the family than, the Targaryens.
Oh, okay, I see that in a way.
If that is him, they don't really name him. They don't drop his name. So,
but yeah, the guy who's like wearing all green, like who's like bending down.
Yeah, with like the ponytail or whatever.
Ponytail. Okay. Cause I lied to you. I was like, okay, that's Darren, that's the guy with the dragon. Okay, that's just a leader of the general, right? That's just Ormond Hightower, leader of this army, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
more or less.
Okie dokie. Okay, so yeah, he's on their way to King's Landing, but Alicent sends a raven saying, "You guys just need to stay here." What is her excuse really in this scene? He just says like, "You need to stay here."
Well, I believe she's lying, right? She is lying. Writing,
yeah.
She's writing the letter like in the perspective of Aemond, and like she's basically saying like, "Oh, just wait there for me. I'll go ride with Vhagar and meet you where you are." Perfect. I believe that's what basically the letter is saying.
Gotcha. But what do you think about this whole scene, seeing the Green encampment? Because we haven't really seen much from the Greens outside of the Greens in King's Landing. This is our first time really, right, seeing some Greens outside of King's Landing and seeing the Hightowers again.
I really enjoy the introduction of Ormond. He just seems like a big asshole, and I love those type of characters, especially in the show. Even just the small little detail of like, this messenger delivering the letter, and obviously he's like all covered in fucking shit, and just him like having to like pull the little like essence or whatever he has in his like little pocket. Very like, do you have OCD, man? What's the deal here? But no, yeah, I enjoyed it. I feel like I don't know how much of Otto we're gonna see, because again, Otto is just taken as a prisoner from what we saw last time in season 2.
Yeah, short pause. Like we saw that in the previews. Like we saw Otto in the cage. I was like, oh shit, I totally forgot about that. So he was supposed to be at the fucking Hightower camp, right? Was he caught on his way there, or was he caught on his way back to King's Landing?
I'm assuming so. Honestly, from what I remember from Fire and Blood, I don't think the book ever talks about Otto getting captured or anything. It might be like a new show thing.
Okay, cool. Because I missed
So I have no idea what's happening there.
I remember Aegon fired Otto in a great episode. I think it was episode 2, season 2, something like that.
Yeah.
I love that scene. Otto was like, "You son of a bitch, I raised you, boy." That was great. Aegon fires Otto. Otto gets headed off back to his home. Aemond comes into power and wants Otto back. I think that's how it worked.
You might be right, I think. Yeah. Again, I need to rewatch season 2.
And then I know it's okay. We were all watching Widow's Bay, guys. Go watch Widow's Bay.
Yeah.
Great finale. But then we see him get captured by an unknown third party. So that's very interesting. I can't wait to get Otto back. I think he's one of the best actors in the show. So hopefully he has a lot to do. He was in the recap for this season, so I assume we'll get some answers sooner than later. But yeah, I'm with you. I like a good, extravagant new antagonist, I guess, in Aemond Hightower. Very interesting character. I love the whole sniffing, like he's always high on drugs element. But he seems, capable. I'm very interested to see him, his dynamic with other characters when they come to play. Like, what's his dynamic with Gwaine and Kristen? What's that going to be like? Or even Aemond. But he is leading an army, so he has to have some kind of capabilities. But yeah, always fun to see new kind of antagonistic characters. But that's kind of short there. But yeah, back to Alicent and Aemond. Alicent wrote this letter. Helen told her about the whole fear element going on there. But then she finally has a conversation with Aemond. And in this conversation, her whole main goal here is to get him to leave the castle, right? She needs him to go with Vhagar right out to meet the people she sent a letter to, the Hightowers, right? That's her whole impetus for the scene. When I love this, again, this is big, social, politicky, social play here, where it's like, you're Alicent, you got kicked out, but you're with your son, you have a mother-son relationship here. How do you play off that? How do you kind of go get him to do what he thinks is right, but basically what you want him to do?
Basically convince him that it's his idea.
Exactly. How do you convince him that it's his idea? And, my big brother survivor brain, I'm like, this happens a lot. It's like, you got to convince somebody that's their idea, but it's like, oh, I'm not manipulating you, not at all. And again, we haven't seen Alicent really effectively do this a lot in this show. She hasn't had that much agency as a character. And it was kind of interesting because she kind of fails at first here too. She's like, she kind of plays too much on the fear element, even though she knows she is like kind of scared. And of course, as Aemond, I'm not scared of anything. So kind of like, oh wait, shit, like this is backfiring. But then she gets more personable and closer to him. And I love this shit. And he's just like getting closer to her. He's kind of feeling a connection that she isn't really reciprocating or sensing leading into this like incestuous kiss. But I just found the whole ordeal so fascinating. I really want to rewatch this scene in detail. But again, Aemond had been having this, Epidus whole mommy complex from the jump, and we kind of see a fruition of that. In a very, again, she's kind of scared of Aemond because he is a very powerful individual, and she hasn't had that much control over him. So when he kisses her, I love Olivia Cook's acting in this scene because she's just like utter shock and like fear going on there. Well,
what's going on here?
Like, what is okay, cool. And like she has her eyes open the whole time, and Aemond is just like, I guess reveling. Would you agree? Like, he kind of reveling in this, or not reveling, but he's just like, this happened is perfectly normal kind of thing. I don't know from Aemond's perspective.
It's, going back to season 1, like, again, I'm not surprised that this is where the show is going for, like, it's diving into this idea. Because even from the first episode, which for the kids, it would be like episode 6 in season 1, where after the big time jump, and the current cast of characters that we have, and one of the very first things that kind of like gives you a bit of a red flag in terms of like what kind of relationship these characters have, Alicent and Aemond, is you know, when they're like all the kids are like training in the dragon pit, and like obviously Aemond is the only one who have a dragon, and they bring out the pig, and they kind of like, you know, bullying him or whatever. And then immediately is like, oh, how dare they touch my kid? Like, how dare they, like, you know, it's those damn like bastards or whatever. But like obviously it was Aegon, not Luke or Jace. Even though like they were like, you know, a part of it, obviously they're kids. I remember like seeing that. I'm like, you say that. I feel like if you were to ask Alicent right now, she would probably say that she feels the more protective over Helena, and I think it's true,
for sure.
But if you went back to when they were kids, it's very clear that her favorite was Aemond. It was always Aemond. And since Aemond playing Vhagar, completely different guy, and just like seeing the evolution, like even you know, they go from kids to being I guess they're like teenagers like here, and how like she would like consistently defend him or excuse his behavior, and Aemond's sense of entitlement of like, ever since I was a kid, I've always been like overprotective, and I've always been excused for my behavior. So just seeing this develop with him, and like obviously what we saw with the brothel scene last season with like the whole mummy issues of it all, I think I don't think it's necessarily sexual, even though like kissing somebody in the mouth is kind of sexual. I don't think he perceives it as that. I think he perceives it as almost like as a way to connect with his mom that he no longer has been able to since he was a kid, because he really closed himself off from everybody else after he claimed Vhagar. Even though he was like very close to his mom, even, you know, like that entire scene after he claims Vhagar, and there's the whole squabble with the kids and his eyes like, you know, taken out or whatever.
That's why I was just about to say that, like in that scene, like that's the big scene for him and Alicent, because Alicent like defends Aemon's actions during the whole thing.
And like that the little boy's like line, one of his last lines in that episode of being like, it's fine, like I lost an eye, but at least like I gained a dragon or whatever. It is a badass line. But yeah, like he did gain power, but at the cost of his past semi-normal relationship with his mom, and everybody else, really.
I'm about to say, like his whole familial relationship with everybody, Helena, his mom, especially Aegon, like that really, really, really changed as soon as he got Vhagar and we got that extra time skip with grown-up Aemond. Because even leading up to when like we see grown-up Aemond and Aegon's like all drunk, the whole episode of him looking for Aegon, like he already is feeling like he should be the king. He's already feeling like he's so much more powerful and capable than everybody else in his family. But it's so fascinating, right? That like this is why I love Aemond as a character. He's very much similar to Daemon, right? Where like Daemon and Aemond, their actions at times go against like what we know to be like their emotional proclivities. Because like we understand this whole, as we're talking about, with his weird relationship with Alicent, where there was some affection, some defense there as a kid. But even when he comes to power in season 2, what do we see? Like completely ignoring Alicent's opinions, firing her off the council. Like he's creating this separation, although at the same time he still wants that love and that connection, as we see in this scene. So it's like this guy, his proclivity towards power and leadership is at odds with his own proclivity towards his own mom and his connection that he craves from a long time ago. He's really at odds within himself, and it's extremely, extremely, extremely fascinating to watch happen on screen, because this guy is a man of two polar opposites. One thing that is consistent is his anger and his strength.
It's funny that, you know, he does from season 1, he does very much seem like he wants to be like Daemon 2.0, and I think it's funny that even on the mom stuff, like Daemon like having that vision with his mother in season 2, which to his credit, he didn't know that was his mom until she says like, oh, my son or whatever.
That was crazy.
in the middle of the ad, and he's like, "What the fuck?" But given that we know that he's eventually going to go to Harrenhal, he'll most likely meet Alice at some point.
Oh shit!
Rivers. And I'm pretty sure we talked about this in the
I think
season
we
finale.
did. Like we could have some visions for Aemond.
For Aemond, and like that includes stuff with Alicent. We like when I remember what some of the ideas that we pitched to each other is like, oh, can like Luke come back in a ghosty way to like haunt him the same way that Viserys came back to haunt like Daemon, and also like younger Rhaenyra and stuff like that. So there's a lot of potential. It's very cool.
I don't want to use what's her name? Aerys Rivers? What's the witch's name? Alice. Like, I don't want to use her as a clutch to get some awesome scenes, but like, she is a cool clutch to be like, okay, we need some kind of mysticism, some inner character conflict. Let's throw up a vision. Let's give every character needs a vision. Give every character
you get a vision. You
get a vision. Because they're so good. I will again, me and Edgar, like we loved every single Daemon vision and how like the progression of those visions, especially throughout season 2, was very consistent and fun. And yeah, if he is on his way to Harrenhal, as he says he is, as he gets up to leave after the ordeal, I hope we're in for some inner introspection from Aemond, who's always been my second favorite character in the entire show, next to Daemon by far. So I'm very excited to see where that leads. Because we didn't see much of Aemond, but what we got with him, Alicent, and the potential for more is so intriguing. But Alicent does get her way in this scene eventually. It kind of reminded me of to a more effective extent, but like Mission Impossible 3 when Ethan is at gunpoint with Philip Seymour Hoffman, and he has to run through like every step of like the spy handbook. Like he's threatening him, he's threatening Damien, then he's pleading for Damien, then he's negotiating with Damien. It's like it's not working. Then he just shoots, fake Julia. And in this scene, it kind of felt like the same thing where it's like, oh, she failed. Oh, but she has another tactic, a more affectionate, like putting my hand on your face tactic. It didn't, she didn't expect the kiss, but then she did get her way there. So as of right now,
she won, but at what cost?
She won, yeah, exactly, at what cost? So from her perspective, she's like, okay, I stopped the army from coming to King's Landing. Aemond is on his way to the Riverlands. What's the place called? The castle
with Ormond.
With them. And then, but then Aegon's gone though. That's the factor that she can't really fix. Aegon's gone. Rhaenyra, when she comes to King's Landing, and after this death, she is coming to King's Landing. Yeah, she can be like, where he at? I need to kill somebody. Oh shit. So I don't know how
for a son.
she's gonna find some baby. Yeah. So Rhaenyra is here, or Rhaenyra is coming, and we'll get into that by the end of the episode. But either way, at this moment, Aegon is gone. So let's quickly cut to Aegon to kind of finish off the Green storyline here. So we see Aegon earlier in the episode with don't tell me. Larys Strong. Right? Okay, good. And this threw me for a loop. You see Larys save Aegon at the end of last season. Aemond's going to kill you. On top of Larys being very selfish because Larys had just been fired by Aemond. So he really has nowhere else to go. But he gets Aegon, and they're on their way somewhere by the end of last season, right? I don't know if they had to district us. Or were they on? No, they weren't on their way to Rhaenyra. They were just on their ways out of the King's Landing.
Yeah.
Right.
I can't really tell you where they're going because, again,
this is all new.
It's sort of like we do know that. I mean, some people believe that Aegon is dead at this point, and others that he just fled. And that's about it that we know about Aegon. He just comes back towards the end of the story to kind of like be like not a last minute antagonist, because he has been an antagonist since like season 1 and the beginning of this. Like his whole existence is a antagonist role against Rhaenyra's claim. But yeah, like he just comes back out of nowhere. And
so Ryan's kind of filling the gap.
Filling the gaps, yeah. So this is another thing where like I don't have a real idea of what's going on, but I'm liking it. I think this storyline has a lot of potential. It has the potential of maybe being my favorite of the season.
Ooh, interesting.
I already
Why
really,
so?
I just really like the whole dynamic between Larys and Aegon. Obviously, like Larys, he might be like have like this disability with his foot, but like he's very savvy. Like, he's killed people for the Greens. He knows how to move around the world despite his condition, and then you pair that with this complete fucking idiot. Honestly, it just makes for a fun dynamic. Even just like this scene where Larys just says the truth of like, oh, this is Aegon, he's the usurper. Like, if you want to, you can just take us alive to Rhaenyra. Where is he
Explain that to
going with
me.
this?
That was shocking. I'm like, okay, you guys want to survive, better get heads cut off. Okay, no. He's actually the king. And I'm like, okay, they're going to play it off of like, I thought when he says, oh, Aegon's the king, I thought the guards were going to laugh at them and be like, oh, no, you're not. Whatever. We don't need to kill these guys. But no, the guards kind of believe them. He even gives the guards the crown. And I'm like, oh, shit. So now the guards believe them. Now they're getting taken to Rhaenyra. What's Larys cooking here? What do you think is his idea here?
So we know that Larys got like a small, not army, but like at least like a small set of forces to like protect him and Aegon while they were like gone. So if I had to guess, maybe that's what this storyline is. It's kind of like them sort of recruiting people to help them stay safe in Westeros while all of this shit is going on with between like the two sectors of the war. Again, very interesting. What's fascinating about that is that if I'm right, the people that they encounter on the road, they're people that were kind of like loyal to the Lords of Rook's Rest, like the whole thing that happened last season. So they have a reason to be bitter against the Greens. But how is Larys maybe going to manipulate the situation to make them maybe go to Aegon's side, or if not that, then at least use them to get out of, harm's way?
Weren't they the main ones saying like bend the knee to Rhaenyra? Aren't they fully on Rhaenyra's side?
Well, yeah, I think
why would they turn
because
towards Aegon?
I mean, yeah, I have no idea. Again, like I don't know, I don't know what Ryan is cooking here, but I'm liking it. I'm liking it. It has like a very almost like a small of like a political thriller vibe to it already, with like a bit of comedy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it has like
so,
that political, seedy, conniving kind of feel to it. I'm just like, whenever I'm with Larys and Aegon, but just mostly Larys, I'm just like, what are you cooking? What are you even like? What's your main game plan here? What's the end goal for you?
Yeah, and what's fun about things like this is that since it's not really a book thing, I don't have expectations. I just get to like watch it unfold and enjoy it. Hopefully, enjoy it. So
Hopefully.
we'll see.
So that's exciting. Yeah, Aegon's reaction. I think people, always kind of undersell, but the Aegon actor is always so good in this kind of like, he's really honing that goofy, dumb, like what is going on kind of role. He's like, no, I'm not the king. No way. It's like, okay, I'll bend the knee. Like he's this very sporadic and freaking out, and Larys is just playing it completely straight. It was just a very, very fun dynamic that they have going on there. Again, no idea where that's going, but I'm excited to see where it goes. So that's what we talk about: Ormond, Larys, Aegon, Aemond, Alicent, a little bit of Helena. We talked about Rhaena already. Let's talk about, before we get to Battle of the Gauntlet, Corlys and Alan. Right. Oh, also the three dragon seeds as well. We'll get to that in a second. But actually, before we talk about Corlys, because that's more closely related to Battle of the Gauntlet. But let's talk about the three dragon seeds. Did you like these scenes? Kind of isolated from the rest of the narrative here. But their main goal was to wait they're near the Riverland, right? That's why Alice was so close by.
They're in the Isle of Faces, I believe.
Isle of Faces, okay. Which is in the Riverlands?
Not really. I think it's closer to King's Landing. It's just like the small island that it's very hard to get to. And and there's like a bunch of weird wood trees.
Mm.
Many years ago, like when the children of the forest were at war with the first men or whatever, at some point they made a pact of the first men like stopping to cut down the trees. So that's why these green men, these creatures with antlers, they were kind of like given the task of protecting the trees. So that's why
Oh,
we
yeah.
keep seeing them.
That's what we saw, right?
Yeah.
Did we see that in
Which is
season
cool,
2
like-
as well?
Yeah, there's one, like, I don't know if you remember, I believe it's in Harrenhal, where Damon is like walking out like in the middle of the
Yes.
night, and he sees one like kind of like creeping out like in the background.
You just reminded me about that scene. Okay, yeah. So this is our second time pretty much seeing. And
Yeah.
what are they
A
going
bit of
to
an more close kind of look, almost. They look
Say it
creepy. They look cool.
You said what kind of look?
No, I'm just saying they look cool. They look creepy.
Oh, yeah. And you said, but these aren't like children in the forest or like a. Can you repeat that? They're kind of like.
They're not children of the forest, but they were basically tasked by the children of the forest to protect the trees, more or less, from what I remember.
So fascinating. I love when shit gets weird like that.
Yeah, and again, like, I don't even think that you needed to include this, but like, I like that they are doing it.
Yeah, little drops of mysticism and fantasy in here. But yeah, I really like seeing these three characters. It was a nice introduction to see like what they are. Like, these are our three dragon seeds. And I remember I paused it last night because I'm very interested to see where these characters go. Because Adam, right? Adam is the one with the dragon. Adam seems very loyal to Rhaenyra, especially in this context where they're supposed to be waiting for Vhagar / Aemond. They're supposed to ambush him here. That's kind of the main goal. We're supposed to sit here and wait. And again, this kind of delves into the whole miscommunication of this episode where he's not coming. He is sitting pretty at King's Landing. And when they leave, that's finally when Aemond leaves too. But either way, I like seeing Adam here being the most loyal to Rhaenyra, followed by Hugh, who is like, we're supposed to do what we're told, but he's also having his own doubts as well. And then Ulf, who has the most doubts. I'm very curious because you guys, kind of like in last season's context, these people had nothing. You know, Hugh lost his daughter, so he's rock bottom.
No, she's still alive.
Was she still alive? Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's just sick, right?
Very sick. Okay. So his daughter is very sick. He's low. Ulf is a drunken. And then Adam, who, you know, his father doesn't even respect him that much compared to, you know, these are all like low-born kind of individuals who now have an atomic bomb in their back pockets. So I'm very curious to see how their relationship with Rhaenyra evolves this season. But we're already seeing some friction based off of just one simple order. We can see that like spread throughout the season 3. I wonder if this is going to be a thread or not. But it was cool to see.
Yeah. Politics, baby.
I love it. I love it. All these like social politics, like these all are individuals who have extreme amounts of power now. What are they going to do if they disagree with you? Like, it's going to be very interesting to see.
This is an example for me of this scene doesn't necessarily move the story forward, but it's just characters talking. This is one of the few moments in this episode where the show just takes its time to breathe a little.
Mm-hmm.
That is another thing also that kind of like did bother me a bit with episode 1 of we're just constantly on the move. And I get it. Like, again, this was supposed to be the penultimate episode at some point, and then now it became the premiere to season 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I really like the stuff with Ulf. I like that back and forth between the three of them, and they're telling him like, oh, like you're gonna be a knight, you're gonna get respect, and Ulf immediately replying with like, I have a fucking dragon, what more respect do I need? More or less,
right?
the line. I do like that bit of comedy of between him and Hugh, where he's like, you know, you might not get a castle, but you can get a lot of women. And he was like, oh, okay.
I can get a lot of women in the castle. It was very, very funny. But yeah, you're right. I think we kind of talked about this last season in terms of like our qualms with some of the best episodes of season 2 and the worst episodes of season 2, where it's like we're going at too fast of a pace, where we're not seeing a lot of people talking. I think one of my favorite episodes, I talked about it earlier, was like season 2, episode 2 or 3. One of
That
those
is the best
episodes.
episode. Yeah, the Rhaenyra, the crew. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just like we're seeing a lot of like Otto just talking with Aegon, the manipulation at the Greens. Meanwhile, Rhaenyra's having huge confrontation with Daemon. Just like not a lot of back and forth, but two sides having their own interpersonal issues. But as as the story evolves in the House of the Dragon, the war starts to escalate. There are a lot of characters in the show, even compared to Game of Thrones, where it's just like 3 dragons, people, all of Rhaenyra's family, on top of the ever-evolving Green family, we just met another high tower. So it's like, it's a lot of characters. So yeah, this episode unfortunately had to deal with a lot of like, these are all these new characters and our returning characters. So hopefully the next following weeks, even though things are escalating, hopefully we can slow down and really get to the emotional impact of certain scenes. But yeah, I'm with you. I really like these scenes a lot. Just people talking, having some seeds of like discontent happening with these very, very now powerful dragon riders.
So and I do. Another thing that this scene does get you to think about is that before the Battle of the Gauntlet, Rhaenyra is in this set mind of we're good, we're set, we have this deal with Alicent. And it is very naive for her to think like, oh, we're good, man, like we got this already. It's
she
like,
promised me, come on, guys.
But it's not only naive from that point, but it's also naive from the perspective of like, you just gave these strangers, you just invited these strangers into your house, and not only that, you gave them these atomic bombs. What makes you think that they're gonna stay loyal to you? And that's what this entire scene between the 3 of them really is about.
Exactly, because again, in the context, it's just in the context of this one order to wait and kill Aemond / Vhagar, but it's emblematic of their connection to Rhaenyra. And if you can't handle this one order to sit and wait, what makes you think you're going to handle future orders in this like future things? Like
and also you have to think, even like, I don't think they bring it up in the scene in that entire sequence between the 3 of them, but like just thinking about it is like, why do you 3 of you think that she sent you 3 specifically to do this job, to kill Vhagar and Aemond? And that's because like you're cannon fodder to her. Like she doesn't give a shit about you. She wants the dragons, but she doesn't really care about the riders.
Yeah, it's kind of like again in a Survivor case, kind of like you want numbers on your side. Not all those numbers are going to be on your like supporting you exactly. You didn't know what they're saying behind your back, but you just want like the idea of power, the idea of numbers. And on her side, she's like, I got numbers on my side. I got all these people on my side. What can possibly go wrong? Not knowing there are cracks forming within those numbers. So I'm very interested. But again, Hugh seems on the up and up. He is a father. So he has some kind of like a sense of responsibility as a parent. And Adam seems like the most loyal because he was raised as like a very hard worker. Again, it's Ulf who I'm looking out for. Ulf has, what dragon does Ulf have again?
Silverwing, I think that's the name. It was the dragon of Queen Alicent. The wife of Jaehaerys the first.
Silverwing and Sea Smoke is fun. Sea Smoke is such an awesome name. I love that.
Yeah, it is a cool, and I love that the design of the dragon kind of has like a goatee or something like that.
And then, what does Hugh have? Hugh has a big one.
Vermith. So that's a King Jaehaerys' dragon.
Okay, Jaehaerys is the one that died in the first episode, right?
Yeah, like the one in the prologue where he's like the Council of 101. Yeah.
Okay.
Another thing that I thought it was interesting, that could have been interesting, that they introduced in season 2, that again just never happened. Whether it was because of the restructuring of the seasons or not. But another thing that is missing for me about the Battle of the Gauntlet, that again I thought they were gonna tackle, all the dragon seeds are involved in the Battle of the Gauntlet. Ulf is there, and so they established this animosity between him and Jace in season 2, towards the end of season 2. I thought for a second, as they were developing that maybe he would play, like, maybe not directly, maybe not purposeful, but he would play a role in his death. Obviously, that role ended up going to Rhaena in the show. But again, like we'll get into it, but I feel like there's like so many pieces that were set up in season 2 that just like completely abandoned.
Because Jason did, at that point he was upset at Ulf because he didn't feel like he was responsible enough for a dragon, right?
Respectful, or he was arrogant. Yeah. But that's about it with the dragon seed so far.
With the dragon seed, and then again, I like this calm, quiet scene between Alan and Corlys leading up to the battle. And this is a good, strongly acted, quiet scene. We see Corlys apologizing, which in the back of the episode, they're like, this is the first time for Corlys. He doesn't really apologize to people that much. But he's different. He's evolving. It's a calm before the storm kind of thing. And it's interesting to see Corlys minus Rhaenys.
Yeah.
He's like kind of lost without that compass guiding him socially. He's always been very good physically in terms of like fighting and ship captaining stuff. But like in terms of social politics and just being a good father, I do like seeing him. He's like, I know I'm 30 years too late, but like, want to drink some vodka with me, dragon's breath with me? It's like is that what it's called, right?
Or something like that. Dragon
breath. It reminded me of vodka. I was like, it kind of like sounds like he's tasting vodka. It's like, it's like has like that big jump to it. And I'm not a huge fan of vodka either.
Like Kiki Palmer has a little kick to it.
Yeah, right. So I just love the scene between these two. We have a lot of friction for good reason. From Alan's perspective, he kind of like wants to stay away, but at the same time, he's never really had a father, so it's awkward between them. But I love this cool, calm before the storm exchange between a newly formed father and son. So really good stuff here, and it made the scene between them in the back half with the Battle of the Gauntlet even more impactful and engaging, because it's like, he's trying to save his dad. He's trying to survive. There's a lot going on. There's carnage. But that consistent thread of like this newly formed father-son angle really kept me engaged with their scenes. So really liked everything to do with them in the Battle of the Gauntlet. But now we are here, Battle of the Gauntlet, biggest battle in Westeros. How did you like we talked about our issues with the book changes, but did you like the overall execution? This took months to film, right? You're muted.
It's funny because the way that they were hyping up about, they were talking about this entire sequence, it reminded me, it took me back to Dan and Dave and everybody in the cast hyping up the long night, and then it's just like, okay, cool.
Can't see shit.
But I will say, again, I said this early on in the show, but individually, separate from the books, a lot of this stuff is really fucking cool, and it's really good, and it's really well executed. The way that it's shot and the way that it's presented, like the sense of scale of the battle, it kind of not quite close, but it took me back to being a kid and watching Pirates of the Caribbean. So that was fun from that perspective. I will say one of the things that, again, it's lacking, and it's both in the book and it's in the show too. I don't care about this like rivalry between Corlys and Lohar, or whatever her name is. I forget. I keep forgetting.
Not at all.
I don't care. Like it's giving Wanda and Thanos in Endgame of like, I don't even know who you are type of energy. Obviously they know each other, but like, again, like
I completely agree with you. Like, she was made to just be like a punching bag for the audience. You're like, okay, the only thing I'm supposed to get here is that the audience is supposed to hate her. We want her to die. We're rooting for Corlys. That's pretty much it. She isn't that impactful of a character. She has a fun screen presence. She is very ferocious on screen. That's kind of fun to see. She has a slight intelligence as well. But yeah, she's an obstacle for us. And especially building on top of the Corlys and Alan scene, it's like we're really much more engaged with what Corlys's mindset here is. Individually, I did like a lot of the Corlys scenes here. I just trying to navigate the sharp pass. That was very cool. Like, okay, let me ease into it. Let me take charge of this. Let me ease into that. Or over here, Like I loved all of that shit. Like oars, pull in. Those he was locked in as a captain. They didn't question his command once. They were just like, okay, cool, let's do this. And the way the camera panned underwater, so you could see like the jagged rocks and how close they were. I'm like, oh, this is really exciting.
It's a very, because what that entire scene is really doing is just giving you an example of how good of a captain he is. But it, like, even though like it is very clearly drawing attention to it, it feels natural. So yeah, I really enjoyed all of that. I thought, though, again, we talked about a little bit earlier with Lohar and Tywin Lannister and her whole deal of whether he's dead or alive. Again, it was just more so like, I don't really care about these characters. I think Talon is fine. I think he's I think it's season 2, right, or episode 1, where Aegon is kind of like bullying him with like, you don't want to give my kid like a piggy horse, like, right, or whatever the fuck. But yeah, in and of itself, on a filmmaking level, it's really well done.
Really, really well done. I think it is funny. As a fan of action, whenever I come back to Game of Thrones, it's never been like the most like tightly edited in terms of action. But Battle of the Bastards was really well done. Hard Home was like when I'm watching this, I'm like, there's so many cuts. Like I just came back to watch like The Furious, which was peak action. It's hard to go back to shows. I mean, just like action in TV shows in general. It's very rare to get like very well choreographed action. Again, Game of Thrones has done it in the past, but even in the OG series, it's few and far between.
And Night of the Seven Kingdoms just did it really well.
You're right. Night of the Seven Kingdoms, that editing in that episode was really, really well done.
It's really dynamic. Yeah.
Here it's just like boom, boom, cut. I'm like, it did get more
with Daemon earlier.
What?
Even with Daemon earlier in the episode.
Exactly. It was like very like we can see that it's raw, but it's like also like, why are you cutting when he's just on the ground fighting, punching? It did get more visceral when it's just Lohar, I think was her name. And Corlys, like when it's just them, and when it's just him, Alan and her, it's like, okay, when they're boxing 2-on-2, it's more like the camera's in it, and I like it. But when it's like when they're fighting against nobody, it's just like boom, turn around, cut, boom, turn around, cut. And it's like, why are you doing this? Some of the parts that they didn't cut, I really liked, like especially when the dragons are flying around and the score like becomes so low, and that's why my heart was pounding, because like the score cut off whenever the dragons are flying. It's not like super intense. It's always like doom and gloom. I'm like, somebody's going to die.
Dude, right from the start of this episode with like Sheepstealer and Rhaena, the new like eerie Thrones theme that Rami composed, it's really haunting. It's really cool.
I love it.
And like he keeps going back to it in the Battle of the Gauntlet. It's really cool.
Yeah, especially towards when like bad shit starts happening. I'm like, oh my god, like it really, his score is like magical, because like you're really just like thrown into like the emotional turmoil of what's going on here. But yeah, I liked a lot of the Corlys scenes. Again, didn't really care for Lohar, but like the Pirate Queen, stuff like that. But again, just seeing a ship ram into another ship, very cool to watch. Like seeing the whole,
and you can tell that a lot of that is practical too.
Exactly, right? When they're swinging into it, and then like they're swinging into it, fire burning up everywhere, people getting blown off the ship, hitting rocks. Like it's very cool, very, very, very fun to watch. And then we see Jace. We didn't even talk about it, but yeah, Jace. How did you like the whole Jace locking up Rhaenyra? This was awkward. So this is interesting because
again, repetitive. What are we doing this again?
But there's no good solution here, because I don't want Rhaenyra to go. That's bad. You're a queen. Why are you going out there? Jace should go, but he's also a kid. He's also like, I get what Rhaenyra was saying too. Like if I die, then you're next up, buddy.
Yeah, I think like part of my problem with it, besides like obviously excluding the children like Viserys and Aegon from the conflict of the Gullet, season 2 spends a lot of time between Jace and Rhaenyra of like almost like overprotecting each other, like not really trusting each other. One of if I remember correctly from the last couple batch of episodes of season 2, when Rhaenyra makes the decision to go and deal with Daemon directly, and I believe she takes Adam with her. And Jace is like, "Why are you not taking me with you?" And I believe one of the things that Rhaenyra says, again, it's been 2 years since I've fucking seen season 2. I believe one of the things that she says is that I need somebody that I trust to stay in Dragonstone and keep these people, the Dragon Seeds, at bay, like Golf and Hugh and everybody else.
Yeah.
So I feel like with that in mind, there was a sense of trust between these two characters already. And I think for me personally, a better choice would have been, I want to help, but I know that I'm the queen, and I know that if I go, I could risk my life. Now that we have a better understanding of each other and like a better trust of each other, I'll trust you and I'll let you go into battle with Bela and basically give him her blessing to partake in this war. And obviously what happens still happens, but it doesn't come from a place of oh, I'm mad at my mom, or like I'm trying to overprotect my mom the way that she's been like overprotecting me. But it comes more so from a point of like Rhaenyra finally letting him go, and once she finally does so, like she loses another kid.
Yeah.
And I even like, again, like for me personally, and we don't know because we still need to see this play out in the coming weeks, but her sense of mourning would mean more, I think, in my book, if it was also from a place of guilt and not from a place of like, well, I got bamboozled by my own son type of thing.
I feel that.
And it is, I understand them like coming up with these like solutions, I guess, because Rhaenyra does stuff in the books, but she's not an active character in the war. She's not like on dragon back and fighting these battles. Like, no, that's not what she's doing. And I feel like one of the things that the show has been struggling with since the end of season 1 up until this moment is like giving her things to do while just basically staying back home. And Emma Darcy sells the fuck out of it. They're incredible. That scene where she's where they're like, where Rhaenyra is ripping the dress or the armor, whatever she was like wearing. It's a bit silly, but she's selling like Emma is like, they're selling it really well.
I completely agree. It comes across silly, but like in a room where you can't do anything. You're on a cliffside. I feel that, like, she's like, she has to let her physical aggression out on anything.
Yeah. And also another silly thing about the whole thing about locking Rhaenyra up is that, if I remember correctly from episode 2 from last season, where like the twins clash, right? And like Rhaenyra is just like in the middle of it. There's multiple, if I remember correctly, there's multiple doors to that room. Why is she just like trying to like keep banging on that door specifically? Just go through the other door.
I know that was weird because like I do remember that scene, but in this one I'm like, that room looks pretty locked up. But I remember because like they're fighting to the entrance of that room, and then in the back Rhaenyra was able to like scoot away and go to like a back door kind of thing going on there. I guess there wasn't in this one. Maybe this is her second big room in castle that doesn't have any other rooms. But
yeah, and thematically it makes sense. Like the whole point about this war, and I didn't mention this with Ormond's like little scene, but the whole point about this war is that it really does come down to the fact that none of these people want to let a woman rule over them, and 100%. From that point of view, I get why they keep shoving this thing about, oh, like none of the men in her life trust her enough to actually be active. But after a while, again, like we've been coming back to it, like, it's just repetitive, and I'm over it.
I feel that. I liked it. I thought it was a organic choice for Jace to make. Because in my opinion, even though you're 100% right, they kind of got over that hump. She confided in him last season. She made him, again, her hand.
She told him the fucking whole secret of the Targaryens.
Exactly. They got to such a good close relationship. I liked it, but then again, when shit hits the fan, I think people are prone to make wrong choices, or at least in their opinion, the right choices. But like, that was during the time of like not that much conflict, right? The main issue was like the Dragon Seed shit. But when people are dying actively and there's a war going on and arrows are flying, I think that's when Jace is like, fuck. I know we left on good terms. And his thing is like, I know she'll hate me, but like I'm gonna do this because I still love you. So I didn't mind it too much. I can see why it is repetitive. And the one thing for me though was like, she's gonna be crying twice in this scenario, whereas like she's crying because she can't leave the room, and then we know she's gonna be crying again when she loses Jace. Like it's two things at once. Where they could have just been like, I confidently give Jace away, and then she breaks down instead of breaking down episode 1 and episode 2, because we know she's gonna be breaking down next week.
Every week she's breaking.
Every week she's breaking down, which is becoming a meme. But like every time I understand it.
That is part of the tragedy of the character. Like she keeps losing the people that she loves. The very first episode, she loses her mom. As the show goes on, eventually she loses her dad and her second child with like Luke, and obviously now Jace. And she had like that miscarriage at the end of the season 1 too.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
and it is a character about like just like she just can't get a break. And again, I feel like another misstep about not including Viserys and Aegon into this whole thing with the gullet is it's not that just, and at least in the book, it's not just that she loses Jace, is that she almost lost Aegon. She loses Jace, and because nobody knows what happens to Viserys, everybody thinks that he died also at the gullet. So it's the blow of not just one child dying, but of 2, and one that almost died. Again, I know that isn't here. I don't know what they're gonna end up doing with those children, if they're even gonna acknowledge it at all this season. We'll see.
I don't think they are. I think they're just saying.
I think they're just like
season 4.
I think at this point they're just trying to keep it as simple as they possibly can, and they're just, if they even bring them up this season, it's gonna be like, oh yeah, they're in Nessos.
They're cool. They're chilling.
They're cool.
Yeah.
They'll be back for the finale of the show.
Because I think like in contrary to Game of Thrones, was kind of like aged up certain characters. This one, they're really aged down. Like they're not even characters, like they're babies.
I just don't get why they aged them down so much.
I think because they have so many. Well, outside of the outside of the universe, in terms of like young kids acting and the hours and shit like that, it's very hard to do that. It's just more characters. It's like now you have Baela, Rhaena, Jace, Luke, and then 2 other, Aegon and Viserys. Is like,
somebody bring in Spielberg to direct children, please.
Yeah, because at this point you're gonna have like a school of children within a war, which it comes across easier in a book, but there's a lot of people in this show. The cast is stacked. So I do understand that point, but yeah, maybe they become active after a season 4 time skip at the end of the series, something like that.
I think that's in the place. Another time skip, one last time skip before the show wraps up.
I think so too. Because we were talking about it yesterday. I was like, I don't read the books, but I feel like everybody has to die. But like, are they going to do it where it's just like people are just like dropping every episode in season 4? I don't know. I don't know how many people are going to drop this season compared to like because there could be an issue where season 4 is just like episode 1 Rhaenyra dies, episode 2 Daemon dies, episode 3 Baela dies. Like I don't want that either. So like I don't want death per episode, but I don't know how it's going to work. I just don't want it to be like one big thing. I want it to be spread out a little bit more.
Yeah.
We only have 7 or 15 episodes left of the series, so because they already said like, we only have 8 next season already confirmed. So, but but overall for the Battle of the Gauntlet, like whenever I'm watching the kids, I felt so like it was just so much fun. And not fun, but just like it was so engaging to watch. Like Jace, is he going to make it? He gets hit once with the spear. I'm like, but then Baela comes in and clicks it off. He learns
nice fake out.
He learns to elevate himself. Like, okay, he's elevating himself, but he goes against that when he's trying to veer away from Rhaena, who gets jumped into the story because she can go right to Rhaenyra or she can go left towards conflict. It just made no sense. It made no sense to go right into a battle with no armor. Like it was just mind-boggling, Edgar. Mind-boggling watching this. So they are unfortunately going to have a lot to do. We talked about it at the beginning of the episode. They're going to have a lot to do to make Rhaena a likable protagonist player in the game right now, because she led to the death of one of the most beloved characters in the show here in Jace. just a phenomenal character in my opinion. And now it's just like, oops, like you better have the arc of your life, girl. You better have like, I want to come out of season 3 being like, man, Rhaena, what a glow up. That's what I want to come out of season 3. Episode 8, I'll be like, you know what, Edgar? We came in episode 1 being like, this idiot just made a lot of mistakes, dumb mistakes. She killed a lot of other people on Rhaenyra's side too. Her dragon was lighting people up. She better have the arc of her life by the end of this season. Like, I don't know. It's just like, man. And again, I know writers can be like, well, kids can be kids and they make mistakes, but it's like, we don't have to like it. And we're not liking it right now. It's made a lot of dumb mistakes. It's just not likable. It's not like, there are times when people make dumb mistakes and we're like, okay, I get it. Because like, there's not a lot of good outs in the situation. No, there's no way out of its way to be like, there's a good out. You can go back home. You're not ready for this war. And nope, she caused a lot of carnage and insanity. But mine is that the execution of Jace's death I thought was very, how do I explain this? Very Game of Thronesy. Because it's just so good. He was on the dragon. Vermax is dying in the water. I'm just like,
a sound design.
My hands are on my face. I'm just like, oh my god, unbuckle Jace. I thought he was gonna, like, when the camera panned down to like his buckle, I thought he was just gonna get drowned, pulled down, like go down with the ship of the Vermax. That'd have been crazy. But no, he's just swimming up. I'm like, okay, is he safe? Can Bela like come in and just like grab her hand? But there's no way she can do that because she's so out of its way to show that Bela is also getting hit with tons of arrows and she's like bobbing and weaving. So it's hard to like circle around and get Jace. But he's just sitting there, Titanic style. I'm like, and then just boom, straight to the neck. Like, it's just so sudden. This is so does so well. It's
so quick. That's the thing that I do love about it, because as soon as he rises, he just gets hit. Like, it doesn't even give you a second to like, oh my god, he's like, okay, like no, like boom, right in the back.
Fuck.
So I will say, I remember seeing, I think there was an episode 1 of season 2. Everybody's mourning the death of Luke. Jace is going through his shit, and there's this scene where Bela is outside, like in some like small little mountain on Dragonstone, and she's practicing how to shoot a crossbow. And there's this piece of wood. There's a piece of like this pillar, this like piece of wood, and as she's pointing the crossbow to shoot it right there, Jace comes in between. And I remember seeing that in season 2. I was like, foreshadowing, baby.
That's crazy. I did not know that. That's crazy. Man, Ryan's an evil bastard. But yeah, that was just so sudden. I'm just like, but that's why I love this universe and the show, because a lot of high profile characters getting killed in the most mundane, average ways possible. Now, granted, he didn't die in a toilet, but like he's sitting here on the sea, just like any other person who gets thrown at sea. He's just sitting and then just gets killed and just dies. And he gets shot in the neck and then turned around and then gets shot again. It's just like boom, boom, boom. It's just like, wow, you got some sharpshooters over there. Like, goddamn, it's just
stormtroopers over here.
Yeah, Star Wars can never. But it's wild. It's just so sad. And again, a good eulogy for Jace. Just a great character, always caring, overly protective, but always wanted to get more agency, to get more active and get out there and just represent for his family. He lost so much as well. He wanted to like make it all, in my opinion, make it all seem worth it. Like, I lost Luke. He lost his father. He wants to he made a lot of good gains last season politically, and now he wants to put his money where his mouth is, make a name for himself. Not even that, but just like prove himself in the conflicts to come, starting with this conflict. Because he is very capable. But then Rhaena came in.
Yeah.
It's tragic.
I will say, I wish his death hit me harder than it does. I think part of it is just the fact that we don't spend a lot of time with these characters, and when they do, it's very short and limited, especially with like the younger cast from Team Black. We spend a lot of time with Aegon. We spend a lot of time with Aemond, even Helena, but I don't think the section of Team Black, like Jace, Bela, and Rhaena get even like 1/3 of that screen time in season 2.
Yeah, I
And
think
so
yeah.
when we come to this, it's like I care, but like like I felt like Rhaenys' death. I didn't really felt it here, and it feels like the show for me. It's at a point where I don't know if it's so much that I'm gonna feel bad that Jace is dead because he's dead, or more so because Rhaenyra is gonna grieve him. I think that's what's actually gonna make it hit hard for me. But we'll see. We saw it in the preview for next episode. The people behind Bela carrying his body, and kind of like, don't look at me, Rhaenyra.
I feel that way. I mean, I feel like Jace did get some substantial scenes in season 2. I will push back a little bit. I did like some of his scenes with politically with like what's it called when he went to the Riverlands and some of his scenes with his mom. But yeah, I do wish he got more scenes. I think Helena still needs some work. I think even my dad was like, "What has Helena done so far?" But I think Helena is solid-ish character. But I think she's also. I think more so than Jace is Bela and Rhaena. I feel like are still static as characters. I think Jace at least has a dynamic to go off of with his mom. That is like people can point to. People can't really point to Bela being like, "Oh, that Bela scene was great."
Yeah, they tried with her scenes with Corlys last season, but they were like, okay,
few and far between. Like it was just like, oh yeah, you can't. Yeah, I remember that. But yeah, in regards to death, I am always in TV shows and movies. I am always more impacted by reactions to death than sometimes the death itself. Like this happens a lot in like crime shows. Like if a teenager dies, it's like, damn, that's tragic. But then later on in the episode, when the mom hears about it, it's like, oh, she's like Harry Potter. Like you see Robert Pattinson die, you're like, oh, dang, that was crazy. Harry, get out of there. Get out of there, Harry. The maze is shutting down. Come on. You don't really feel it until the end of the movie where it's like, that's my boy. That's my son. It's like, oh, now I'm crying because like this dad has a visceral reaction to it. Like,
is that one of the all-time great line readings? Maybe.
He ate it up. It was good. It was impeccable. I'll never forget it. Put that on my gravestone. But it was. I feel that way for a lot of times. So I'm gonna be bawling next week when. It's just like just the realization. Just like for me, I'm just like rip the Band-Aid, get it over with. Let her know what's happening. Because there's a great scene in the previews, and maybe you can. Did you watch the previews?
Yeah.
Where Rhaenyra's saying like, why did you do this? Or why did you go off? Like, it feels like she's talking to Jace, but maybe she's talking to herself.
I don't know.
What do you think? Like, it just felt like she was like going through some Shakespeare shit. Like, I'm very interested to see like how she reacts. This like she lost Luke, but that was like 4 years ago now. But this is
for
big.
us. It was 4 years ago.
Yeah. But this is big. This is big. She's had so many scenes with Jace. Again, being repetitive or not, she's had a lot of scenes with Jace. And losing him at this point in the war, when she thinks she has it all, she thinks she's winning here. She's not supposed to lose people like this. She's not supposed to lose her own son. Fuck. Just me talking about it, I'm like, I'm not ready for next week. I'm not. But yeah, can we talk about the previews real quick? So
yeah.
We see Rhaenyra at fucking King's Landing. So she is getting there, which is kind of shocking to me. Whenever I see like a good character, like it felt to me like Dany to go to King's Landing was like the finale, as it was. But like we see Rhaenyra going to King's Landing, and I'm like, I'm so used to the Greens owning that spot in the narrative. Like, okay, we're back to the Greens, Edgar. Let's talk about the Greens, all at King's Landing. Rhaenyra's coming to King's Landing. Like, where are the Greens going to be scattered throughout the rest of the series now? Like, I'm very curious to see how that happens or what goes on here, because we see her like, you know, that we see Rhaenyra in like that courtyard scene, in the courtyard, like, you know, where Cersei and Jaime used to talk a lot. So I think I see her in front of the Iron Throne. I'm just like, this is stuff I thought would happen in season 4, but we're here now. this season she's going to King's Landing. How is that going to be like? Are the people going to be receptive towards her? I remember the end of last season, they liked her because Missandei, whatever her name was sending in what?
Mysaria
Massaria was sending. She was sending like food and shit over there. So they liked that because Aemond is being an asshole for no reason. So I'm just curious: are we going to see aspects of her ruling King's Landing, or I don't know? So I'm very curious to see what they do with Rhaenyra moving forward after her grief. How Daemon's going to react to it? What Aemond's going to be like outside of King's Landing? How long is he going to be outside of King's Landing? But yeah, the weeks to come look very, very intense. But at the same time, as I said earlier, things look more intense and dire. But hopefully the show also is managing to slow it down as well with the individual scenes. But this was a lot. This was a lot of an episode. Do you have anything else to talk about here?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything for the most part. Did we talk about Kristen Cole and Gwen?
We did not at all. I mean, mainly because it was kind of, again, repetitive.
There's not a lot there, but I will say that, I mean, I liked it in season 2, but I really like that Wayne, he, especially after A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, he kind of reminds me of Dunk, of like, he still believes in the principles of what it means to be a knight, and him like seeing the reality of things of like, yeah, that's not really how it is in the real world. You're living in fantasy land.
That's a good point, because he's coming. Is he coming from Old Town or Old Town?
Yeah, Old Town.
So yeah, this is his like first real impetus into a more grittier. Welcome to Game of Thrones, basically. Grittier, larger world
for everybody, really.
Yeah, and it's just very sad and unfortunate what Gwen saw. He was like, "Hey, you're gonna help with this woman, make a statement to your men." And Kristen's all like, I mean, Kristen Cole is such a hateable character, but it's so funny watching him be so like dejected and desolate because he saw one dragon during the whole Rhaenys episode, and ever since then, he's been like, my life has no meaning. I'm just a knight with dragons in the sky. Man, like this guy is like a walking eggshell of his earlier self. Like he has lost all grit and all everything. He's just like, we're gonna die eventually. We're just fish in a pond, and there's sharks all around us. He has lost all vigor.
For a character that a lot of people have been wanting to see die since the second half of season 1.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a bit of a not a letdown, but unfortunate that knowing the fact that that's probably gonna be like liberating for him. I'm like, you don't deserve that. You don't deserve that.
He wants to die. He gives no fucks anymore. Like Kristen, every conversation with Kristen and Gwen is like, "Hey, Gwen, like, hey, are you gonna do anything?" And Kristen's like, life is meaningless. Like it's like that one goth character at the lunch table. It's like, what's going on with this guy? This guy is totally forgot about everything. He just doesn't care. But yeah, it was interesting to see them. So curious to see where that goes. Maybe he gets some kind of
he locks in the end.
Maybe he locks in when Aemond arrives. If he's going to meet up with Aemond ever. But yeah, right now. But Gwen continues to be a very fun character to follow though. Because he is that Duncan character. He has such a sharp contrast to the characters and cast around him.
Yeah, his scene with Alicent at the courtyard is still one of my favorites of the show.
That was really good. Olivia Cook is cooking. But great episode. Not every recap will be as long as this, but it was just fun to get our ducks in a row. It's a season premiere. 72 minutes, a lot of depth, a lot of characters, and yeah, again, there's a lot of different characters and different places to follow in this episode. So maybe there'll be less of that next week. We don't know, but I'm here. I'm here to enjoy the ride. This is not a Ryan Condal hate podcast. This is a Ryan Condal criticism podcast. Not everything about the show is perfect, but I'm having a good time. I think season 1 was fantastic. First half of season 2 was, I remember even the first half of season 2, people were like, this is slow. But I enjoyed the first half of season 2 for the most part. And then the back half was just very messy and sporadic, minus the Daemon stuff and the Aemond stuff. But yeah, we're back. Hopefully, this season is more consistent and more on the straight and narrow. But you can find us every Monday talking about Game of Thrones, After the Dragon. I saw we had some people in the chat, so leave some likes, subscribe, ring the bell so you know when we go live every single Monday for the next 7 weeks. We're going to be here breaking everything down. This was fun. Find me on Twitter, Harris EV9. I'll be back on later tonight, actually, because I'm watching Superman in the lead up to Supergirl this Thursday for me. So I'm excited. How about you, Edgar? What's going on?
Yeah, you can catch me on all my social medias at EDGRTEG. My review for the invite is up, so if you want to catch that, see what I think for a movie that doesn't come out.
Nobody's watched it
yet. But yeah, I really love that movie. It might be a 5 out of 5 for me. It is a 5 out of 5 for me.
I was looking at movies because last night, like I finished my Spielberg binge. I was like, am I missing anything this year? And I looked at Edgar's list for the first time. I'm like, oh wow, number 2 invite. Oh shit. I can't wait to see that movie. I can't wait. I've only ever seen that one trailer, that first trailer.
That first trailer might be the best trailer of the year. It's great.
It's
really
so
well
good.
done.
Yeah, it's so good. I didn't know you liked Nirvana to stand to show the movie that much.
Yeah, it's really funny. You still haven't seen it, huh?
Still haven't seen it. So maybe I should watch it to prove Josh wrong, because he says I would not like that movie. So
you prove him right. But yeah, you can find me there. You can find this podcast at WHFG Podcast, and we will be back around this time next week. Any last thoughts, Evan?
Nope. Fun time. Can't wait.
All right. See you guys. Bye-bye.